What's up, Facebook? We're here live at Walker Manor at the open table with Mr. B, your favorite survivalist, myself, Zeb, your favorite capitalist. We've got Mike Dunn with us today, a guy that Nate here brought with us. The rise of the militia is the beginning of this series, and we've got a lot of things to cover, a lot of things going on here in the Southeast with the NFAC, Three Percenters, and then you've got in Virginia, the Redacted. Maybe we'll get pulled if I say the B word. I don't know, boogaloo, whatever it is, we'll see. I'm not going to speak anymore for him. I want to ask him, hey, Mike Dunn, thanks for coming on with us today.
Thanks for having me.
What inspired this? What was the moment that you decided I didn't need to march in Richmond and make a demonstration of the Second Amendment? Like, what was that moment where you said, yeah, this has to happen? And I don't even know, what was your numbers? Tell us a little bit about that and when that happened.
Definitely. Okay, just to give you a little quick background. So from the time I was a kid, I've always been into the political side of things, and I've loved firearms. And then at 17 years old, I joined the Marine Corps. I served a year before getting injured and getting honorably medically discharged. And I helped out at the January 20th rally in Richmond. And I began setting up militia units across Virginia because I realized there was a need for an armed civilian defense, because I see our own military, we go overseas to protect people from their governments, but we refuse to do it here. And so that got me involved in militia making. I've currently set up 18 across Virginia. And then after my personal friend, Duncan Lemp, was murdered in Maryland during a no-knock search warrant that was issued, I decided, you know what, I'm going to hold a rally in Richmond myself, protest these gun laws that are going into place, and especially this no-knock, the law that allows a no-knock search warrant to be served here in Virginia. And so I went ahead and did that. We had about 600 people show up, and we made our statement.
Also, we've got Hal, your favorite anarchist. Hal, what do you got on that? I want to hear what you have on that.
Well, actually, I thought it was interesting that Mike mentioned Virginia. Are you from Virginia, Mike?
Yes, I am, as of the last 5 years.
Oh, nice. See, that's where I sort of grew up at, Hampton Roads area.
I definitely, yeah. I'm in connection with a militia group down there.
Nice. Yeah, I like what you're doing. It's definitely interesting. You don't necessarily run across people every day that are doing what you do.
Definitely not. It's hard to find.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, though, man. Thanks.
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, we've got Nate's going to bring up some points. He's got some points here. What do you got, survivalist?
I just got a question for Mike. What's the difference between what you're doing and what everyone else has done before you?
As far as what I'm doing personally is I'm not worried about lobbying. I'm not worried about the NRA, which for some reason it seems like a lot of militias that I know and have been involved with seem to think that lobbying is going to get them somewhere. I'm not worried about hiding what I do. I'm not worried about keeping it quiet. As far as being different, time will tell what kind of effect we're going to have, but I'm the youngest right now. I'm the youngest militia commander. As far as I understand, from what I've been told, I'm the youngest militia commander in the United States, and I'm willing to do what it takes. I'm willing to get out there. I'm willing to protest. I'm willing to take a stand, and that's not something you've really seen a lot of outside of every now and then. You've never really seen somebody out there say, "Hey, I build militias. This is what I do, Governor. You suck." And that's basically what I've been doing.
All right, so I want to ask you a pretty direct question because Nate said, "What are you doing that's different?" Well, you're not an uncommon phenomenon anymore, especially here in the Southeast. We have the NFAC raised by Grandmaster J with a show
Yes, sir.
for us in Stone Mountain on July 4th. And he didn't allude, he just straight up said that he wanted a firefight with the Boogaloo Boys and the Three Percenters at Stone Mountain. I mean, that's what he said. So I just want to know what your thoughts on that are.
So my thoughts are as follows. One, I believe the majority of that group is uneducated when it comes to the Boogaloo, Three Percenters, and certain militia groups across the U.S. I think they have fed into the mainstream media's narrative of what we are, hence their hate. We reached out to them. We talked to them a little bit. Didn't get a lot of information, but got a little bit. Seeing them stand in the open road with jammed weapons, cheap 22s on AR frames, it was really a pitiful showing. And I wish that if they had called us out, they could have done it in a little better light because they totally embarrassed themselves. But I really think they just fed into the mainstream media's narrative.
Wow. What do you got on that, Nate? I'm going to comprehend that for a second.
Well, you always need to rehearse and you need to practice and you need to make sure your gear's in working order before you go out to play. So,
and not stand in the middle of the road.
True that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I had to say. You know, funny story. Talking to my dad about it last night, getting ready. We're wrapping my porch around my house. That's a family affair. That's how we do it. But just in all things. But it seemed like a political stunt to me. It's like, when you look across the mainstream media and you see the rise of the Black Israelites, the rise of the NFAC, and the things that they say, you also see them getting a lot of money from NFL athletes, namely Deshaun Jackson, funding them. And you know, that's their freedom. They have the First Amendment. They have the Second Amendment. And as Americans, I don't believe that they are political prisoners, but that's their First Amendment right to say that. But I just think it's worthy to mention that it's not called out. There's no media coverage on it, and you get the argument from liberal leftists, you know, that I think has infiltrated our party, the Libertarian Party, and is trying to divide us when don't raise your kid to be a racist. We know that. You know what I mean? We're doing the right things. You know what I mean? I'm there. Yes, we need to repeal federally the war on drugs. Federally. And I tell my friends, colleagues, I was told I needed to check my white privilege because I wanted to repeal the war on drugs. And I felt there was systemic racism in it, and we needed to address it. We need to address the CIA being a terrorist organization. But there's good people there, and it's not all across the board. And we can't even have the conversation about it because you want to call me out because I'm just white. You know what I mean? Like that Grandmaster Jay said, you driving around in my car. I've never driven around in his car. You know what I mean? I mean, Mike, what do you got? We've been talking for like probably 30 minutes. What do you got, man?
You're fine. It makes it doesn't make much sense to me. You know, I grew up, I guess you could say, on the lower side of things as far as my family's income. There was a total of 6 of us in my family, and I know at one point my dad made less than $30,000 a year. And I grew up in a trailer park, just a poor kid. And I haven't driven around in nobody's car but my own. You know what I mean? I think once again we see, as far as Grandmaster Jay and a lot of the people that were involved with the NFAC, I think we see once again people that are feeding into the mainstream media's narrative and victimizing themselves because they have to attempt to validate their own failures in life.
You got, Nate?
Oh, I was just thinking about how big do you think this movement's going to get? This middle, what
the
we've got going
centerist,
on
that's
now.
for everybody. You know what I mean? Because it's their right, but we have to call out hate speech when we see hate speech. It can't
Yep.
just be one narrative, which is the mainstream narrative, and for us to work together and have that conversation in reality,
And we
got to
we
get
can't
past
just be
that.
calling out white hate speech.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is something we continue to do, unfortunately, is we continue to call out white hate speech, but we don't call out some of the blatant racism prevalent on the left side of things, or on, with people of color and such like that. So
You mentioned work with I don't know if you said you mentioned it or not, but you mentioned the three percenters. How do you feel about them? I'm not really too familiar with them as an organization.
I've been involved with a few people who say they're 3%ers, and obviously we know that it's derived from the fact that it's believed that less than 3% of the population stood up to fight the redcoats during the revolution that started in 1775. And I don't know that much about them. I know a lot of them are more of your, no offense to the older generation, but a lot of them are more of your, what we consider your boomer generation, people who are stagnant in their ways. And I don't think a lot of them identify as libertarian, which I personally identify as libertarian. But I don't think a lot of them are on the middle ground. I think they're more on the far right side of things.
Do you mention libertarian? So what's in preparation for the debates? You mentioned a gathering there, which I wholeheartedly agree. I'm going to go back on just a little tangent that it's ridiculous that in the past polls have proven to not be true, not factually count pivotal elections, to get it wrong, exactly wrong. And they use that as a meter to why they won't let Joe Georgeson debate. I mean,
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, if you put her on whatever, I'll say CNN, because I want to ask you a question about that.
Put them on the streets.
Too. Go ahead, what?
Let's do this on the streets. Get them on a soapbox, old school.
Old school. Yeah, do that.
Take it away from a privatized company.
She deserves to be there. So what y'all got planned for that?
As far as my group is concerned, and to go back on something you said just a minute ago, as far as the polls being controlled, we saw in 2016, 2015, 2016, how the polls were saying that, Trump this and Trump that, and Trump had less than a 2% chance of winning, ridiculous stuff. And then he came out and he won. Any poll can be controlled to keep a libertarian candidate off the platform, because we all know, whether you agree with Joe Jorgensen or not, if she gets that platform to speak alongside of President Trump and presidential hopeful Joe Biden, she's going to destroy both of them, and it's going to make her even more popular.
It set a new precedent.
So, but they're saying that she's got to poll at 15%. Well, it's impossible for her to poll at 15% if the polls are controlled. So we reached out to her, several of us boys, and we told her, we said, look, if you don't poll at 15%, we're willing to put 500 boys at the place of the debate and put you on the stage ourselves. And then we began looking into it and realized, hey, it's a private company and stuff, and there's a lot of repercussions that could go along with that, but she deserves the right to speak. And if she does poll at above 15%, then we're still going to go. And we want to make sure her voice really gets heard. That's the best way I know how to answer that question.
I think every time that you
go ahead, Hal. What you got?
I've noticed, like, every time that you have a libertarian that starts to make a bit of headway, they end up in some weird, like, social bias thing, like with the tweet, the BLM tweet that she done or whatever, that everybody's going nuts over. I don't understand. Like, it has to be on purpose. Like, they don't want a libertarian speaking. They don't want to have to debate somebody that actually thinks.
Yeah.
It's scary for, the debates at this point are a circus anyway,
They are very crazy. What was it during the DNC, the early stages where I think it's Senator Jim Webb was a center Democrat that could have reached across the aisle. You know what I mean? He was kind of a mixture of Republican and Democrat, and he could have been a guy that could have done something good, you know, and could have stole legitimate Republican votes, but they didn't even let him talk. It was Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders. That's the narrative.
Well, yeah, basically they went, oh, look at that tweet. She's definitely a leftist. And that's what's being spread now. It's crazy. It happens every time.
What you got on that, Mike?
No, I was just sitting here agreeing, letting him talk and agreeing with him.
Nice.
You'll find that when somebody poses a threat to the elitist or the two-party system or the people that have run this country for years, and obviously we can go into the conspiracy theories on that, but when someone poses a true threat to supposed leadership in this country, they're usually destroyed. You saw that with Martin Luther King. Regardless of what your thoughts are on him, you know, he started taking a stand and he was killed. Just the creator of Silk Road, someone who started making a difference and created a website to sell stuff without governmental involvement, once again becoming a threat to elitist and government-controlled stuff. He's now locked away in prison serving, double life sentences plus 40 years. And I think that plays into as far as the concept of destroying someone who poses a threat. I think that's going to play into the libertarian thing, regardless of what Joe says. If it can be misconstrued, it's going to be misconstrued.
Hey, by the way, earlier mentioned you as a Marine. Same 3-9.
Yes, sir.
What's up to all my 3-9 guys? You want to make a shout out to your battalion, all your boys?
No, sir. I'm gonna keep that one quiet.
Oh, okay. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. But 0311, and I served for 14 months before being medically discharged. But I'd rather keep my battalion quiet.
Oh, my bad. I was just thinking about him.
No, you're good. I appreciate you, sir.
So what's next? Is this becoming a full-time gig for you? I mean, I see the kind of the fund me kind of thing going out there. What's this? I mean, where to next?
Who knows? Right now, I'm trying to do a little bit I can with what I have. I was fired the week that I held that rally. I was fired from my job with the state because of political involvement being considered a conflict of interest. And I'm out currently looking for another job right now. But everybody says, hey, Mike, do this, or hey, Mike, do that. And they don't realize I'm not made out of money. So I definitely, I don't mind asking for people to help out if they want to see a change. It's like tomorrow I'll be down in Newport News at a city council meeting as they're trying to promote some more anti-gun legislation, barring firearms from city buildings. And I'll be down there. In January, they allotted everybody 1 minute to speak instead of 3. Well, tomorrow I'm going to go in, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to speak, I'm going to be wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I'm going to take that Hawaiian shirt off while I'm speaking, and you're going to see a T-shirt on that says the word Boogaloo. And I'm going to speak until they throw me out. Because I'm tired of not having my voice or our voices heard. I'm going to have somebody live streaming the entire event, just for my safety and others. But we'll be doing that. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'll be down in Portsmouth, Virginia, collecting signatures to recall Senator Lucas, who is also a detriment to our cause. And then the beginning of August, I'll be in Roanoke, Virginia. I'll be speaking at a formation of a militia unit down there in Roanoke as well. So, some people say, hey, you should run for political office, but a lot of people don't realize as far as a state office goes here in Virginia, you have to be 25 to be a representative. I'm only 19, so I'm doing what I can while I can.
Sounds awesome, man. You should come on out this way to the Knox area. Do some talking.
Why not?
Definitely will if I ever get the chance to.
We've got the cleanest lake in the nation, Norris Lake. It really is. It's factual. You can Google it. I don't care if you do. I don't care. Google me.
Hey, Nate, weren't you there when I got stung by all those bees on North?
Oh man, I don't think I was there that time. You were there when I flipped the canoe on that big old bluegill.
Well, I remember. I think you found a bottle of vodka like at the old campsite, and it saved my life because I got stung like 28 times or something. I think. But where I was going with that is the part of the lake that I ended up having to jump in was not the cleanest lake in the nation. It was literally just trash.
You're not talking about.
Oh, I definitely am, but
It's also nice to have things stashed in various locations.
I've never been to that part of the lake. So, man,
man, that was a.
What do y'all do as far as do y'all at least train? I mean, how do you get involved with what you're doing? I guess is what we're asking. You know what I mean? Because you're based in Virginia, right?
Yes, sir. Correct. So we actually have a group of gentlemen who head up militias all the way across Virginia. We trade information, and then we recruit through our various pages. If someone's interested, we find out where they're from. We forward them to somebody in the area or within a driving distance of that area. I actively take a hand in the training here in Halifax County, Virginia, because it is where I'm located. We have a training day this Saturday, as a matter of fact, where we'll be providing classes we have a field medic that's coming in. They'll be providing some medic classes for people, and then we'll proceed to instruct people on cleanliness of weapons, shooting. We'll also be doing some shooting, and we do that 2 or 3 times a month just here in Halifax alone. And then the other militias that I've actively started and helped start, they have their chain of commands, and they do their own thing as well as far as training goes and stuff like that.
What you got on that, Hal?
Hold on just a second. Chasing my child around.
So she's feeling better, huh?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Like I said, need to make a trip here to Knoxville sometime. Do some fishing, whatever. Hang out down here. But another question I have, something that happens to me a lot on Facebook or internet, or just talking to people on the phone. And like, if you're a libertarian, all your friends are like, man, you're wasting your vote. That's crazy. You might as well be a communist not voting for Trump. Or like, oh, you need to vote for Biden because it's Trump. Trump will win if you vote for Biden. Or the other way around. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, do you encounter that a lot trying to start these movements?
Well, that was something I personally believed maybe 2 years ago. And now it's something I encounter. But I realize, we're seeing a trend here with the Libertarian Party going from the first time they held an election, which was, I believe the party was conceived in 1971. And were involved in their first election and got a few thousand votes and like one electoral vote from a faithless, what they consider a faithless member of Congress. But now in 2016, we saw 6 million.
I think we lost you, Mike.
That's something that
there you are. We lost you. Could you repeat what you just said there? Because you were in the middle of a point.
Okay, my bad. So we saw the Libertarian Party start in 1971, and we saw a trend of votes, going from, I think it may have been 16,000 votes, I can't remember exactly, but to over 6 million in 2016. And so that is something I encounter a lot, because it's something I believed at one time was, hey, you're just throwing your vote away if you're going to vote for the Libertarian Party. But I feel that if everybody with that mentality would vote gold, we could get rid of this 2-party system and have better choices than 2 people who believe it's okay to sexually assault a female. You know what I mean?
You know, you're not wrong, and I think that's something you would assume both sides would agree. But extremism has taken, root. You can't have a discussion. You can agree with somebody, but like disagree on the definition of a racism, and then they're like, even though we agree legislation, that we need to do certain things, repeal laws. That is a war on the poverty. I don't. It's not a race thing, man. It's not a race thing. It's a class thing. It's oppression on the poor, and it's systemic. Now, is it oppression like you see in Hong Kong? Absolutely not. My personal opinion, we should take political refugees from Hong Kong. They offer a lot to the table on technology, and China's beating us right now, in a lot of ways in production. And we could also learn, and with Iran, we could learn a lot of intelligence on their army, because what's going on right now is in foreign policy. You're just funding our enemies. We toppled Gaddafi, so what happened? Benghazi happened.
This poor country you live in, you have to go.
Yeah, your volume is down extremely low, so I'm having a tough time hearing you. I did hear everything you said. It's just hard to hear you. It's like you went quiet after y'all lost me a minute ago.
You picking up on him?
Okay, are you picking up?
He said your volume's way low.
Oh, my volume's way low.
Yeah,
Check.
After y'all lost me a minute ago and I came back, you're very, very quiet.
Can we fix that? He's got it.
Can you still hear me?
Good to go. That's all right.
So
go ahead. What you got, Nate?
Hey, Mike, how much of a disruption do you think this vote gold is going to be this time around? Do you think we're going to take enough away from both sides to make them worry?
That's hard to say. I think that we're going to have more people voting gold than have ever voted before in an election. I do believe that. I don't really know, obviously, outcome, but I feel that if Jo Jorgensen gets her 15% and is able to debate, I feel that Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden are both going to feel threatened.
Sounds like the best
because I believe she's an honest contender.
Yeah, it just further proof why they won't let her debate. I mean, it's just they won't even let her talk. You know what I mean? Just like they wouldn't let. And Mimock brought up a point earlier on. Thanks for tuning in about Gary Johnson and his Aleppo mishap. Yeah, that's that happened, and that was a big mistake. But there's still, if you're going to say to me that I need to vote party politics, and then I say that my party is the Libertarian Party, and you're saying, well, that's a wasted vote. Well, that's BS. You know what I mean? In my opinion, What else? He already left. We were going to have a guest come on, but he already left. Sorry, my bad. So, are you going to make the trip to the debates?
I'm going to attempt to. It all depends on funds, and I'm going to obviously try to have a job by then, hopefully. It depends on funding.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. That's another good example that if somebody speaks out, and you didn't even say anything crazy. You said it's our right to carry our the Second Amendment. What was that specifically about to the governor? And there was a few things I saw in there that was weird, but tie that into how you lost your job, because that's BS. Nobody should lose their jobs because of a political view. Can we agree on that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I can agree, and that's so it had started probably a month prior when I mentioned it to my warden that I would be hosting a rally that Senator Amanda Chase would be speaking at, and it'd be a pro-2A rally, an anti-big government rally, and he told me he would advise that I not do it because it would be seen as a conflict of interest. And so we talked about it. We talked about my involvement with militias and so to speak. And every couple of days they would say something, you know, kind of harassing me about my political viewpoints, but I didn't let it get to me. I kept on. And then the Monday before the rally, they asked me if I was still intending to do it. And I said, yes. And then they presented me with a letter saying that due to an unsatisfactory background check, my position was terminated. And I said, well, this is ridiculous because the only thing on my background is a speeding ticket. I have a crystal clear, you know, background. And he said, well, it's actually due to your involvement with the militia, your political involvement, and the fact that you're associating with Senator Chase, who has spoken out against the governor multiple times. And I know he said that, but I can't prove he said that because inside of a prison, you're not allowed to have a recording device or cell phone or anything like that. So my personal opinion is he pulled some strings and got that letter sent so it could look official, so nothing can fall back on DOC. But anyone who runs a background on me knows I have a speeding ticket on my record, and that's it. So I know what it was for, but can I prove that? No, sir, I can't.
Well, jump on in with the trades because they're keeping the economy going, really.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hit me up on Messenger, man, and holler at us. This guy is super more resourceful than I am. Yeah, we'll get you hooked up. Hey, you can maybe even like make your home base here in East Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? Get you set up. We're in it for the long haul. We're for the party. What do you got? What do you got on that, Nate?
Yeah, it's all good, man. I'm ready to go fishing again.
We're just here for fun. I mean, look at the shirts.
That's how my lawyer's going to be in court when I eventually get arrested for standing with the Boogaloo, because they're going to start arresting people without them being criminals or doing anything wrong. But that's how my lawyer's going to be: is hey, it's just satire. Hey, it's just a shirt. You know, stuff like that. It's going to be fun.
It's just fashion. I just want to look cute for my friends.
Well, yeah, and it shows you the ridiculousness of, you know, the mainstream media saying, you know, there's nothing about what we say is far right. You know what I mean? And it's not far left. We're just saying basic stuff that, you know, believe in the Constitution. My favorite JoJo quote is, I believe every gun law in the past 100 years should be repealed. I mean, how epic is that? I mean, automatically you should vote for her. I mean, come on. Am I wrong? Someone tell me, how am I wrong?
You're going to get canceled, bud.
What?
You're officially canceled.
We talked about this. Look at his profile pic.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna zuck you.
Oh, that's funny, man. And you know, I mentioned, I said it jokingly about like the CIA terrorism. The CIA, I feel like, has had a lot of, I think it's done good counterintelligence for sure. We have a great intelligence community, the best professionals. The problem is that there's been certain times where I felt like there's been some shady business. You know, you look in Afghanistan, Vietnam, you go back, you know, even stories, you know, with the last administration and foreign policy with the toppling of Gaddafi and what happened at Benghazi. All I'm saying is that this stuff needs to be held accountable, you know, because Benghazi happened. And that's something all Americans should be mad about and say, you know, that's something to look into. Just in like reports in Detroit and what has been brought up and then redacted. I don't even know you can't find it. And those are questions. That's the question that matters. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be, I don't think that's the crazy part about it, that we're all trying to be in the middle, you know, agree everybody should be free, just constitutional. Just we believe in the Constitution. And for some reason, Like they mentioned Black Lives Matter and how all that happened and the tweeting for it. Well, of course, nobody deserves how George Floyd died. Nobody deserves their knee on the back of their neck. You know, nobody, and just like the countless other victors of all races, victims, you know, and the names go on. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that need to be looked into. I don't even think it's necessarily the law enforcement, just the repeal of certain laws. I mean, what you got on that, Hal?
Hold on just a second. There was a question about the tweet that Joe Jorgensen had posted, I believe on Friday. What were your thoughts on that, guys? Because I see it's being blown into this.
I didn't see the question. I'm gonna let Nate take it.
To me, as just a regular guy, it seemed pretty obvious. I mean, if you're familiar with the Libertarian Party, it was pretty obviously what she meant.
Scoot forward.
It was pretty obvious what she meant.
Right. It seems like everybody's blowing it up. Like, well, there you go. There's your answer. You know. It's.
Well, let me know here. Let me know here, once again, going back to what I said previously about the narrative the mainstream media continues to feed, is the fact that Black Lives Matter, and we know where BLM leader stands because of their own statements, but a lot of the individuals involved are involved in a movement that have been hijacked by the far left. So people who read that tweet and saw the little hashtag Black Lives Matter, they once again jumped into the narrative that mainstream media is feeding them, saying, okay, well, this is what Black Lives Matter is. I'm not going to stand with this.
How do we get people to think more critically where everything's not such a catchphrase in there and they're just so drawn into that being literal with everything?
Focus on groups like this. Focus on people who are having their own little talk shows and providing actual factual information, instead of a divisive mainstream media that wants to keep people divided, and continue to educate the people around you that you know personally. That's the best way I know how to do it personally. Now, obviously, you guys probably have other suggestions, but you know that's just what came to my mind.
So, is there any sort of like a mission statement for what you're doing, or maybe talk about like an ultimate goal that you have long term with this?
Well, initially, you know, the Boogaloo started as a series of memes and then became an idea. And some people like to consider it a last line of defense. As far as my groups are concerned, I started militias and being involved in militias because I knew the red flag laws were coming. And I want people to be able to stand together as armed citizens when that happens. I don't know where the movement I'm involved in is going to go politically. A lot of people have different goals, but I do know that we're not going to be run over. We're not going to be pushed aside by politicians. And I think our main goal is freedom and the preservation of such. And when you see that preservation take place, I guess it will evidence itself where our movement is going, if you understand what I'm trying to say, without being too open on there.
Is that kind of one of the strengths, the ambiguity of it all, the decentralization?
Come again.
Having everything just so loose, it's an idea from what I gather. It's more of an idea rather than an organization, right?
Currently, yes. Now we actually have a convention chat where we are talking about making the Boogaloo. You know, it's just, you know, in and of itself is an idea, but turning it into an organization.
I just saw the live feed. I'm sorry, man. We just got the live feed. I just saw Nate come back doing what he did. It was funny. My bad.
You're good. Let's see. I just lost my train of thought on that, so you're going to have to repeat that question one more time.
My bad. The idea that
you're good.
Idea. That it was the idea. My bad. To kind of put onto your point, I'm sorry, I was listening to you. I just wanted to agree on something.
No, you're good.
That
you're good.
Tom Campbell, he's the Libertarian chair for Campbell County, and we interviewed him. I think it's been a couple, maybe I can't remember.
It was last week.
It was last week. Yeah, last week. He brought up a really good point if it's a true free market. If a party doesn't have a voice and doesn't get a voice, something will pop up and like create another market for it. Like for example, if YouTube banned whoever will say, if YouTube banned all Trump tomorrow, there would probably be a new conservative YouTube, whatever it's called. You understand what I'm saying? And it feels like it's rigged because that's been happening for years against the Libertarian Party, and we don't ever have that voice. If they would just put her on the debate, she would get a crazy amount of votes alone just for how reasonable her policy is.
Yep. And then she would also get the votes of the never Trumpers and never Biden as well.
Yeah. Didn't think about that.
So when is Elon Musk gonna build us another social media platform so we can do all this stuff freely?
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's who I need to reach out to. I bet he would fund what I'm doing.
Hell, he'll put you to work in Houston, build a spaceship.
Yeah, there you go. Elon Musk, if you're among our, like, I don't know, we probably have like 7 listeners. I don't know.
I'm a musketeer. I'm a musketeer.
I love all our viewers, and we get a lot of people that come back and re-watch our videos because it's crazy trying to catch up on bills. Everybody's working all the time. It's tired. It's tiring. The middle class feels like it's kind of suffered, and I don't think that's an extreme thing to say. There's all people of color in the middle class. It's kind of like a badge of honor, but it's hard. Taxation is so high, especially when you got like state and federal. I don't know, man. You can go on, dude. I'm just rambling. My bad.
Well, here's some random quick informative fact for you, and I'm gonna have to get off of here soon. But just
we are too, man.
Something we can chat about or you can think about is the fact that the governor has written into law here in Virginia that you can't sell a firearm privately to somebody without doing a background check now, which is ridiculous. Once again, just a way for the government to have their hand in things and collect a tax and blah, blah, blah. So we actually ended up selling 3 firearms right in front of the Capitol on Saturday, July 4th, obviously without a background check.
Whoa.
So
did we get double banned there, Zuck?
Hey, you shouldn't get banned for that. You shouldn't get banned for that because that's on me personally. I'll be the one to get banned.
No, it was just a joke on the cancel culture. That's all it was. It was a cancel.
I just got back in the chat, man. I got dropped, so I have no
my bad.
What's going on? Yeah, after I said Musk book, it cut me off. So I feel like that was, a little bit of karma.
So
I zucked myself, dude.
Oh man.
When's the governor in Virginia? When's his term up? Who's the candidate coming up after him?
His term is up 2021. It's a toss-up right now for the Democratic nomination of, I believe, Terry McAuliffe, who has been governor before, and Justin Fairfax, who is, I think he's the attorney general right now, who also has some sexual assault allegations against him. And then they'll face off, whoever gets the nomination, they'll more than likely face off against Senator Amanda Chase in 2021.
She was in the picture with you, right?
Correct. Yeah, I actually reached out to her several months ago. I opened a line of communication with her. I invited her to come out and speak, even though I might not agree with her on some things. I did want the people to feel like their voice was being heard. And she came out. She was a part. She's very pro 2A. I know her decently well now, and I keep that line of communication open because I like to keep all the strings in my hand that I can, so that I can pull them one day if I need them.
That's awesome, man. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's all we have today for the open table. We're going to keep you updated through the week on who next week's guest is, unless you've got that information on you right now, Hal.
Well, I mean, we all within the group know who it is, but we should wait.
That's fair. That's fair. So that means you're going to have to keep up with the
more
Facebook page
libertarian.
and,
yeah, more libertarian
you can,
stuff, but
it's,
I don't want
they're
to. I don't
probably
want to
not
put them on
going
the
to have
spot
an
and then like
R
something happens.
or a D beside their name. Probably going to have an L. You know, whatever. You know, we'll probably get banned. Boom! Look at their shirt. Cancel culture. Far right extreme.
Well, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all having me on the show.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
Appreciate
Thanks
you
for
coming.
coming.
Be safe, man. Hope good luck on finding and work.
If you're passing through, holler at us.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely will, and y'all stay tuned for that showdown tomorrow at the city council chambers.
All right.
Yeah, will that be on your page?
Yeah, definitely. It'll be live streamed directly to my page.
Awesome.
Yeah, send us a link and we'll share that stuff if we're not already banned
All
by
right.
them.
I definitely will. All right, brothers, y'all take care and
All right, see you, man.
and be blessed.
Later.
Later.
All right.
That was awesome, man.